Okay, let's dive right in. If you're running virtual events, you already know the old playbook is, well, it's pretty much out of date. Today, we're not just talking about planning another summit, we're actually breaking down a strategic blueprint for 2026. This is all about moving past those one-off events and into building sustainable year-round ecosystems that deliver real, continuous value. And this quote right here really just says it all. The old way of doing things, just grouping your audience by their job title or how big their company is, that just doesn't cut it anymore. Attendee engagement and, more importantly, retention is now completely tied to an event's ability to deliver super personalized, real-time value. So how on earth do we do that?
Well, this new blueprint is really built on four foundational pillars. We're talking about deep, meaningful AI integration, truly immersive technologies, a really sophisticated data strategy, and of course, a solid plan for sustainable community growth. And look, these aren't just trendy buzzwords, they're the interconnected pieces of the puzzle for what's coming next.
So let's get into part one. It all kicks off in the first quarter with building an AI-driven foundation. I mean, you can't build a modern house on old, frayed wiring, right? And the exact same thing goes for your event ecosystem. This is all about building what the source material calls the Event Tech Stack 3.0, which is basically the next generation of smart, integrated tools that are going to power your entire event world. The shift here is just fundamental, and it's crystal clear. We're moving away from that old model of just lumping attendees into these huge generic buckets. The new model, which is fueled by generative AI, is all about creating these unique, individual journeys for every single person. It's a huge move from just broadcasting a single message to having one-to-one engagement, but at scale. So, the crucial point is, how does this actually work in the real world? Well, before the event even starts, AI can design registration forms that capture what people are actually interested in. Then, during the event, it's working in real time, matching attendees for killer networking and suggesting content based on what they're doing right then and there. And after, it automatically creates personalized content bundles based on that person's unique journey. This is personalization at every single stage of the game. This timeline really shows how that tech foundation you build in January unlocks a much, much broader strategy. So first, you build an AI stack. That then lets you develop a year-round content strategy in February, which then lets you create more complex, poly-channel events, a mix of virtual workshops, webinars, on-demand stuff, by March. You see, each step builds directly on the last one. Okay, let's move on to part two and see how this all builds into the monetization engine. Because with that AI foundation locked in, the focus for the middle of the year shifts. It's all about converting all that great engagement into a sustainable and, profitable community. And the absolute number one key to unlocking all of this is data unification. The whole goal is to create one single unified view of your customer across your event platform, your CRM, your marketing tools, everything. Without this, you're just guessing. With it, you can truly measure engagement and prove your event's value. It's a game changer. The path forward here is super clear. In April, you unify the data. Then, in May, you use all those incredible insights to build out new monetization models. And in June, you can leverage that new revenue and engagement to start exploring more advanced, immersive virtual environments. It's a really strategic, logical flow from insight straight to income. So, what do these new models actually look like? Well, we're talking about a huge shift away from just selling one-off tickets. Instead, the focus is on recurring revenue streams. Think things like paid memberships for your community, different tiers of access for exclusive content, and sponsorships that are based on delivering measurable value, not just plastering logos on a screen. Now, this concept, the great rebundling, this is really the masterstroke of the Q3 strategy. You stop thinking about one big annual summit, and you start thinking like a media company. You transform that single event into a continuous ecosystem of smaller, more specialized micro-events, certified learning tracks, and other valuable things that keep your community hooked all year long. Now for the final part of our blueprint, the future-proofing frontier. Q4 is all about looking ahead, right? It's about adopting the advanced structures and strategies that are going to ensure your community's relevance and growth for years and years to come. A key part of this is exploring concepts like decentralized community governance, or a DAO. Now, I know this might sound super complex, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's all about using new tools to create transparent, member-owned communities where your most engaged people have a real stake in its direction and its success. And that leads to a really crucial question for anyone out there building a community.
Is it mature enough for this? Are your members engaged enough to actually take on a leadership role? Look, this isn't for everybody, but it definitely represents the absolute cutting edge of community management. Of course, future-proofing also means tying everything back to actual business results. This blueprint makes sure that by November, the focus is squarely on perfecting that handoff from event engagement to the sales pipeline. We do that through better lead scoring, highly personalized nurturing, and a totally seamless path to conversion. So let's pull all these pieces together. We've really journeyed through a full year here, from building a foundational tech stack all the way to exploring the future of community governance. So here it is, the whole blueprint in a nutshell. Quarter 1 is all about building that critical AI foundation. Quarter 2, that's for unifying your data to unlock new ways to monetize. Quarter 3 is where you scale from a single event into a full portfolio. And Quarter 4 is all about future-proofing your entire ecosystem with advanced governance and sales alignment.
And that brings us right to the final thought, and it's for you. Looking at this whole journey, what's the one area, the single biggest gap in your own plan for 2026? Is it the tech, the data, the monetization strategy, or the long-term vision? That's the real question this blueprint leaves us with.